Okay, Vina. Taperek Lamazan. Vina. Tachlis Ashlemus Azeshel. Moisa Mashiach. But Tchias HaMeisim. The Shlema that we're going to reach by Moisa Mashiach and Tchias HaMeisim. Shul Gilui Oren Tzav Baruch Hu B'Elamazah Gashmi. The revelation of Hashem in this world, in this physical, materialistic world, it all depends on our Kol Zman Meshech HaGolus. It depends on our deeds and our avoida the whole time, the duration of the Golus, which is 6,000 years. So the Rebbe has a diuk over here on the word Ma'asenu B'Avodah, and it's based on what the Alter Rebbe himself writes in the Geras HaKodesh. Also, Maise Atzdaka Shalom V'Avodas Atzdaka. Over there, the Pasuk talks about Maise Atzdaka, Avodas Atzdaka. The Alter Rebbe explains over there the difference between Maise and Avoda. Maise, it's something that already happens like on its own. For a person gets to a habit, there's some good habits. Let's say somebody goes already to shul every morning. He doesn't have to fight with himself. He's automatically, his car, driving, almost self-driving to shul. It's already a good habit. It becomes ma'aseh. So when a person gives tzedakah, sometimes he gets used to a certain amount. It becomes ma'aseh tzedakah. It becomes like he doesn't have to fight with himself to give. He got used to it already. That's called ma'aseh. But then there is something above the habit, which is that's avoida. You have to work hard to accomplish it because it's going above your habit. That's avoida. So he says over here also, what we're doing throughout the Zman of the Golus, of the 6,000 years. Ma'aseh, think that we're doing good deeds, but it becomes ma'aseh. It becomes a habit, it becomes normal. But then avoida, you have also avoida, sometimes will go above normal. If a person learns above his normal time, he gives tzedakah above his normal giving, and he does good deeds above, that's avoida. So that they say same thing, the two correspond. Yemois HaMashiach, Tchias HaMeisim. Yemois HaMashiach, the beginning anyway, it's going to be things that naturally will change in the world. Like there's an opinion in the Gemara, Shmuel says that the difference between Yemois HaMashiach and Golus is only Shibud Malchuyos, which is the first stage of Mashiach. Is going to be only regular world, nothing changed, just Mashiach is going to be the most powerful king, and all the other Malchus will be Meshuba to him, subjugated to him. It's a change going to happen with Derech HaTeva. And then so on and so forth, the small change is going to take place. But then comes time of Tchias HaMeisim. That's already nothing natural over here. Tchias HaMeisim is going to be above Teva completely. It's not natural to see people, the dead people getting up to life. That's what he says. The Maisa mitzvahs, even we're doing as a habit, good habits, doing Maisa mitzvahs, that's going to bring you Maisa Mashiach. Maisa Mashiach at the beginning anyway, it's going to be the Derech HaTeva. There's changes in the world going to be Derech HaTeva. But then it's going to be the avoida we're doing throughout the days of Golus. We have a lot of times heroic avoida, above nature. We're jumping over our head to serve Hashem. We self-sacrifice ourselves throughout the Golus. Many times we had this. So, and in the person's life also, there's sometimes you work with a habit, sometimes you go above your habit, and that will bring the Tchias HaMeisim, which is it's also above nature, way above nature. It's like this. So that's what we're working now throughout the goals with our Meisim and our avoida to bring to come to this ultimate goal of Yemois HaMashiach and Tchias HaMeisim. Ki agoyrem schar hamitzvah mitzvah ba'atzmo. What causes the reward of the mitzvah itself. The Rebbe brings a mashal for it. When you give to a farmer, you give him money to plant your earth, your field. So you give him money, but he's gonna plant and it's gonna grow the vegetables he planted over there. The plants he planted. It's not gonna grow money. He gave you money, but it grows vegetable. Bashenkin mitzvahs, what you plant mitzvahs is gonna come out the schar of this mitzvah. When a person does the mitzvah, you bring a great light from above there down here. Lislabesh begashmius olam hazeh, and the light of Hashem comes over here and becomes one with the gashmius of olam hazeh. B'dover shoyot chila tachas mamshelas klipas noiga. Before the mitzvah, it was a regular item in this world. That's just klipas noiga. He brings the examples for it, yeah. And we said klipas noiga, klipas toivara. It's not completely osur. That's why you could do mitzvah with this. Umakabel chayusa mimena, and that item before it became a mitzvah was getting its energy, its life from klipas noiga. Umakabel chayusa mimena. Shem kol dvorim hatahoirim umotorim shenasas boim hamitzvah maisius. We could do the mitzvahs only the dvorim that tahoirim umotorim kagoin. He brings now three type of examples, and he brings the example of doimim tzameach and chai. We have basically four levels in the world, general levels: doimim tzameach, chai, medaber, non-movable objects. And then we have the plants that are growing. Then you have another higher level, the third level up. It's the animal, which is it's not just growing; it's moving as neshama. Then you have the medaber, the person that talks. So when you do a mitzvah, the mitzvah done with all four. The person is the medaber. He does the mitzvah with one of those three things that below him is level. He starts like this. He starts on the highest level after the medaber, after the person. Kagoin. Klaf hatfilin mezuzah v'sefer Torah. All these three things, tefillin, mezuzah, sefer Torah, you do it for the parchment that came out of the skin of the animal. That's the chai. So, but you have to take an animal that's a kosher animal. K'mayim razal lohuchshar lemlechet shamayim ela tehoirim umutorim beficha. Only things that are pure and you're allowed to eat them in the kosher animals. So you cannot take a skin of a non-kosher animal to write film mezuzah sefer Torah on it. It have to be something that was kosher animal, which is the kosher animal, as we learned already before in Perek Vov, derives its energy, its life from klipas noiga. The non-kosher animals derives is life and energy from a different source. Sholosh klipas atmeas legamre, which is we have no koyach now to elevate them. That's why you cannot make tefillin out of them. But the if it's a kosher animal, which is the before it becomes, before you turn it to a mitzvah, before you turn it to a parchment of tefillin or mezuzah sefer Torah, it was getting its koyach, its chayus from klipas noiga. Now that you made a mitzvah out of it, you elevate it. You made out of it holy now. You elevate more than klipas noiga. You brought it to kedusha. V'chen esrog she'ena orla. Now he brings another example of tzameach. The first example was chai from the behemoth. Now tzameach, the plants. Esrog she'ena orla. You cannot make a mitzvah of orla, mitzvah of esrog and sukkahs from if it's orla, because that's what bishop sholosh klipas atmeas legamre. So again, you take something that was under the memshelas klipas noiga before you do the bracha on the esrog, before you make the mitzvah with it. It was deriving its chayes and klipas noiga. Now when you made the mitzvah, you elevate the esrog to a holy chayes. We see the Hagoah. Sha'orlam misholet klipas hatmayas legamre, because the orla is the first 3 years that of the plant that you're not allowed to derive any benefit from it. Because at that moment, it comes from the sholosh klipas atmeos legamre. She'en lahem aliyah le'olam. You cannot. We have no koyach to elevate it. Meaning like this. We explain that when you eat a meat, l'mashal, yeah, the Gemara says in Pesachim, "Amoretz lo yochal basar ela b'Shabbos." The Gemara says somebody which is not Talmud Chacham should not eat meat during the week because it might bring him down. Because what we eat, it influences us. Yeah, what you eat, it will influence you. So if you don't eat the meat with the proper kavana and elevating it, that could bring you down. Mashenk and Shabbos, you receive from the Kedushas Shabbos. It's not going to bring you as so much down like during the week. So the way we have to eat by elevating everything. If we eat the meat l'shem shamayim to have koyach to serve Hashem to daven with this, yeah, then you bring aliyah to the meat. You elevate the meat. Was before it was just cow. Now it becomes part of you, a human being, and you daven. You learn. You elevate the meat to kedusha. Now you can do this on shalosh klippos at me'as legamre. Even you're going to eat non-kosher food with the biggest kavonas to have koyach to serve Hashem. It's not going to go anywhere. As Alter Rebbe explained that the word osur, you could translate osur in English in two ways. Osur from the word forbidden, like that's the basic translation of osur, but also Alter Rebbe explains the word osur from the word osur v'koshur b'dei achitzoinim. It's that's in imprisonment. The issue that anything from shalosh klippos atmeis, it's in imprisonment in the hands of the klippos, and you have no koyach. You would, no matter how much avoid the kavana you're going to do, you cannot elevate them to kedusha. That's why that it says orlo mishalosh klippos atmeis legamre shalom aliyah leolam. You cannot elevate anything from shalosh klippos atmeis legamre, which is it's called advarim asurim, kmoshkosu ve'etzchayim, v'chen kol mitzvah ba ba'aver chaz v'sholom. If a person does a mitzvah that came through Aveira, it cannot elevate this mitzvah. It doesn't go up anywhere because it's in the jail of the klippos. The klippos, they have a whole strong hold on it, and you cannot elevate it. Akaponim, but dvorim amutorim, dvorim them from klippas noiga, you could elevate them, and you take something that was very simple thing before, and you made it holy. Like I mentioned this in Moshel before in one of the previous shiurim. Imagine if God forbid a Sefer Torah, a tefillin falls down, we have to fast. But what is the derivative of the Sefer Torah? It's the skin of the cow. What happens if the cow itself falls down? You don't fast for the cow because the cow before it became tefillin, it was just a cow. Klipas noiga. Okay, I feel bad for the cow; it got hurt, but you don't have to fast. But when you take the skin of the cow, you write on Sefer Torah mezuzahs, and we use it for a mitzvah that becomes holy. Now it says it was elevated from regular klipas noiga, dover gashmi, became now holy. That's the third example he brings. That's the doima. He brought from the chai, the example of the Sefer Torah tefillin mezuzah that you made from the animal chai. Then you brought it estrog, which is the tzameach, and moes tzedakah, and the money of tzedakah, which is doimim, non-movable object. She'enon gezel v'kayotza bohem. So a person, he could be the biggest baal tzedakah. If the money is gezel, if it's stolen money, it doesn't go anywhere. The money doesn't become holy. But if moes tzedakah was not gezel, before he gave to tzedakah, it was klipas noiga. It was just toivara. By giving tzedakah, he made it holy. That's the mitzvah savaya. All that energy that in those things, in Sefer Torah, mezuzah, in the estrog, in the money, are a chayus sheboim oile umizbatel v'nichlal b'oir and tzov baruch hu. All the energy, the life that in those things, and there's a lot of energy into them by the animal, by the plant, by the money. People put a lot of energy to make the money. He says all the chai that's in those things, oile, it goes up. Again, goes up from klipas noiga and nichlal and kedusha. Umizbatel, it become nullified. When nichlal, it become one part. B'oir and tzov baruch hu, shuratzoyno yizborach. Because what you did with that, you did what Hashem wants you to do. Ratzon Hashem, the will of Hashem, the mitzvahs. The mele, it's now the Ratzon Hashem is mislabesh into them, and they nichlal in Ratzon Hashem. Me'achar she'en shom b'chinas hester ponim klal. in the world there is a concealment of the light of Hashem. Masha Enken, by the Maisa mitzvahs, there's no concealment. This is Ratzon Hashem. It's obvious that this is Ratzon Hashem. She'en B'china says the point Lahastiv Oiro is Barak, to conceal his light. Mainly all those things, they have an aliyah and they become holy now. So till now, he spoke about the three things, as we said, that the chai, the things you do from the animal, and the tzameach, the things you do from the plant, which is the esrog, and the doimim, which is the money. Now he's going to talk about the person. Before we go further, I just want to explain one thing. I always had this question, but I saw an answer over here from the Rebbe on it. From the Rebbe Rashab. If you have to make an aliyah only for kosher things, klipas noiga, and if it's not klipas, if it's not kosher, you cannot elevate it. Yeah. That's why esrog have to be not orla. If it's orla, you can't make a mitzvah with it. It cannot be elevated because it's imprisoned in the hands of the klippas, of the shalosh klippas atmeres legamre. So how come we could make a tefillin from a cow that was an avela? The halacha is that Hashem b'ficha Chazal telling us only a mutorim b'ficha v'afilu min neveles v'trefetz shalom. You're allowed to take a skin of the animal which was not kosher was not shechted in a kosher way. It became a nevela, a trefa. It's kosher because it's a kosher animal. You're allowed to use it. The whole idea it's have to be mutorim b'ficha. It's not mutorim b'ficha. How come you're allowed to use it? Because the Rebbe Rashab explains, and he explained this on Perek Vov over there. He says like this: there is in Perek Vov, the Alter Rebbe uses the lashon. You could see how exact and how the lashon of the Alter Rebbe Meduyak. The Alter Rebbe, the end of Perek Vov, when he talks about it, says like this: when he talks about the animals that come from Sholosh Klippas Atmeis Legamre, that's the lashon he uses. V'nafsho kol ba'alei chayim atmeim v'asurim ba'achila, all the animals he talks about over there, how they things that come from the sholosh klippas atmeis legamre, the three klippas that are completely impure. That's the non-kosher animals. V'asurim ba'achila, and you cannot eat them. V'kiyum gufam, and the existence of their body. Then, what's a kiyum gufam over here? Asurim ba'achila. What's kiyum gufam? Then, when he talks about the plant, he doesn't have this word. He says like this then. V'kiyum v'chayus kol ma'acholes asurois me'atzameach k'mo orla v'kila akerem. He doesn't mention over there v'kiyum gufam. It says v'kiyum v'chayus kol ma'acholes asurois. Why? Again, the Alter Rebbe is very, very meduyak. Why he doesn't mention the same thing like he mentioned by the animals, non-kosher animals? They're not the impure, the non-kosher. You cannot eat them. And kiyum gufam, the existence of their body. By the tzomech, you should say the same thing. The kiyum, the chayus kol ma'acholas asuras ma'atzameach k'mo'ola v'kila akerem. The kiyum gufam is not mentioning. What's the difference between the two? The Rebbe Rashab explains that in the Isurim, the thing that are forbidden, you have two parts of it there. You have one part that Kiyum Haguf, this is the guf itself, and then you have the neshama of the guf. You have the guf without the neshama. Take an animal. If it has a neshama to it, it's alive. If it's a dead animal, the guf's still there, but there's no neshama to it. Yeah. So by the animal, he says both of them are bad. The guf itself, it's come from sholosh klippas atmeres legamre, and it's neshama, the chayus of the guf. It's also come from sholosh klippas atmeres legamre. That's why the Alter Rebbe mentioned the animal, all of it, whether the guf gashmi and the chayus haruchni that gives him life, it's all from impurity of the shalosh klippos at mes legamre. By the tzameach, he said, there's no such a thing. The tzameach, the guf itself, it's not. It's some shogeg. No, tzameach, the guf itself, it's okay. The chayus of the first 3 years, the chayus of the orla of the kila kerem, the ruchni is shaboy. It's right now no good. That's why. How could it be the same plant? It was no good. After 3 years, it become kosher. It's like there cannot be a non-kosher animal become kosher, because over there it says the goof, the physical plant, it's not deriving its existence from sholosh klippos at mes legamre. Just had like Hashem gave it energy for the first 3 years from sholosh klippos at mes. So that's why Hashem said, don't eat it. After that energy goes, the goof itself, it's kosher. With that, he explains what the question I had. Also, he answers this question: how come you could do tefillin from a cow, which is originally it's a kosher animal, but even it was not shechted in a kosher way, became nevela treifa? Halacha says you could do tefillin out of it, because it says because the reason how you do tefillin from a non-life animal. So over there, yeah, the 2 parts of the isur using non-kosher animal. The guf itself, it's osur, the physical body, and it's chayos, and it's neshama. Since the use of tefillin, you cannot use a tefillin from a live animal, it has to be first shechted. So memela, what's gone over there? The chayos, the neshama is gone. So what matters to you right now when I use it? It's the guf. Then if it's originally a guf kosher from shalosh klippos, if it's from klippas noiga, then you could use it. Because if I would use the chayus of it, then I said, no, the chayus have to be also kosher, and it's treif, it's not kosher. But I don't use the chayus. I use, when we use, nobody makes a chicken soup from a live chicken. It has to be a dead chicken to make a chicken soup. So nobody makes a tefillin, mezuzah, and sefer Torah from a live cow. It has to be a dead cow. So the chayes of the cow is not there. So it's irrelevant to me what kind of chayes it has now. What matters to me, that's his goof. The goof originally, it's kosher. Mele, I could use it. Mashenken, by esrog, I have to use esrog with his existence, with his body and the neshama in it. Because if it's all dried up and already, no, I can't use it. So over there, it's important. There should be the chayus. That's the problem with the orla, was just the chayus, the energy. Not the goof itself. The goof itself, it's kosher. That's why over there at the requirement have to be not orla. Because the way I use it with its energy now. The energy have to be kosher. So that's. I thought that was a nice thing. The way I explained that not only the Hasidus part of it, but the Nigla part of it also. It explains why you're allowed to do tefillin and mezuzah sefer Torah from a non-kosher animal, meaning it's originally kosher animal like a cow, but it was nevela or treifa. You're allowed to do. Okay, so let's go right. And now, like I said, he spoke. The Alter Rebbe covered how you could make holy the doimim, tzameach, and chai, the non-movable object, the plants, the animals. Now we're going to talk about the person. It's like this. Same thing that we have our energy in our animalistic soul. In our limbs of the person, when you do a mitzvah, the neshama on its own cannot do the mitzvah without the body. Your body does the mitzvah, and the energy of the body, part of it is nefesh abahamis, animalistic soul. So right now, your physical body and your physical nefesh, the energy of the body, it's all participating in doing the mitzvah. And it rises up, goes elevates itself from the level of klipas noiga, yeah. Menichlal begdushas hamitzvah. Right now, when you do a mitzvah, not only that the tefillin is holy, not only that the the esrog, the lulav and esrog is holy. Now you also, the person that does the mitzvah, you also nichlal. You become included. You elevate yourself in the holiness of the mitzvah. What's the holiness of the mitzvah? Shehi retzoyno yizborach. That Hashem's will, Hashem, His will and Him, it's one thing. Hashem is holy. So through the mitzvah, you connect to Hashem. You now also become holy. Ubotel b'oir and soy baruch hu. You become completely nullified in the light of Hashem when you do the mitzvah. As we explained before, if you remember, that was in Perek Lamed Hey, that even a big tzaddik is his connection to Hashem, with his love to Hashem, it's not completely bottled to Hashem, because it's yesh misha'oyav. He loves Hashem. There is I over there. That's a little separation between him and Hashem. Because in order to be connected to Hashem, you have to be complete bittul. By doing mitzvah, all of us, we're completely bottled to Hashem. We're then going to serve it. It's not about us. It's about I'm completely doing Ratzon Hashem. Because that's what He wants me to do. And over there, you becoming holy. Then you elevating yourself to the kedusha of the mitzvah. Now we go like this. It goes back to what we spoke before. Not as physical as putting tefillin. They're not. They're more spiritual mitzvahs. Learning Torah, davening, saying Kriyat Shema. He says, even doing those mitzvahs, they're not as physical, they're not as materialistic as the mitzvahs we're doing with our action. Alone. So the question is, how over there you elevate yourself? We said already, you elevate yourself because you're utilizing the Gashmius to Kedusha. Remember, the Gashmius has an aliyah. The Gashmius has an aliyah. Like the same thing, the cow becomes holy through the mezuzah, through the tefillin. You become holy through the mitzvah. So how you become holy through the mitzvah if the mitzvah is a more spiritual mitzvah? He answers a kaimalon, the hirur, lav, kedibur, domi. That's a machloikis in the Gemara. Between Ravuna and Rav Chizda, if I'm not mistaken, if Hirur Kedibur Domi will paskel la'maisa la'alocha, Hirur lav Kedibur Domi, meaning if you just not pronouncing your learning, you're just learning mentally, you're thinking about it, the halacha, it's not considered to be learning. The reason for it, because you're not going to be yotze till you have to say it. It's have to be more come down to more to the physical realm, not stay in the spiritual world, the world of thought. The Kaimalan, also known to us, the Akimas Sfosov Have Maise, turning your mouth, turning your lips, it's called action. Ki efshar lanefesh alakis levata b'spasayim upe v'loshan b'shinayim agashmiim kimal eden nefesh achiyunis abahamis amlubashes bevora aguf mamish. Because he says like this, the neshama on its own cannot do any mitzvahs without the body, including the mitzvahs of learning, davening, and saying Kriyat Shema. It's more spiritual mitzvahs. So the neshama needs to come to the nefesh habahamis, which gives chayus to the guf. That was gives life to our body. And now we're able to talk, we're able to daven. So it is somewhat Gashmi too. It's not as Gashmi as our action, but it's somewhat Gashmi. And Memele, you have an aliyah over there too. When a person learns, within davening and learning, some people learn and daven. It's they don't put so much koiches to it. The more you put your energy to it, the more it's lively. Umachnis umalbish yoser koiches min nefesh achiyunis b'diburim elu. So the more you utilize your nefesh habahamis, nefesh hachiyunis, when you speak louder, when you daven with the bread, when you daven, it's more, you're putting more chayes. What chayes? Putting chayes as nefesh habahamis over there. You're using more energy of your animalistic soul. So the more you elevating your nefesh habahamis to kedusha. So the more energy you put over there, the more you use your ability to speak louder and put more life to it. It's more in becoming, you're never becoming included in kedusha. All my bones should say. How could you bones? You could say it. You're saying it with your mouth. Meaning, the more you put in your speech an energy over there, a liveliness which is that chayes aguf, that comes from the energy of nefesh habam, is just in charge of your body. So the whole body participating have an aliyah. So again, the aliyah could be done through the doimam, to the non-movable object that you're giving money to tzedakah. The aliyah could be done to the plants. It's makayim mitzvah of Esther Galulov and Chadoima, or the aliyah could be done by using tefillin and mezuzahs, sefer Torah, that's come from the animal item, that's the chai, or the aliyah could be done from the person himself, the davening and learning. The more he's putting chayus to it, the more he's elevating himself to kedusha. If you're learning, it's going through all your 248 limbs. The Torah will be guarded by you, will stay with you. If you just learning it superficially, it's really not, you're really not putting all of you in it, the Torah will not stay with you. Forgetting divrei kedusha, learning in meklipas haguf, it comes from the clip of the guf v'nefesh hachiyunis habahamis shem meklipas noiga. The forgetting coming from klipas noiga, because klipas there's constant fight within the klipas noiga to go up to kedusha, to go down to lower than that. So the more the guf remains in his stage of klipas noiga, it's going to bring him forgetting his learning of kedusha. And nichlal is the form of kedusha. Sometime it goes up in kedusha when you do it the right way, as we learn now. When the things go from klipas noiga to kedusha, when you weaken the nefesh habahamis, when you weaken that klipas noiga, umachnis kol koichan bekedusha, and you elevating, you're taking all the energy, putting in kedusha. The kedusha is a Torah or tefillah. Okay, so what we're learning over here, and by the way, it's not a contradiction to what he said before, that with davening and learning, you don't do your ultimate aliyah by the mitzvahs maisias only. That's what he said before in Perek Lamed Vav. It's true that asiyah, it's more physical than speaking. That's why you accomplish a lot more with asiyah gashmis, more than, I think it's supposed to Perek Lamed Hey. You accomplish more with asiyah gashmis than just learning and davening, because over there you bring the kedusha even to your physical body. Yeah, it is true, but in learning and davening you also have an aliyah. It's not the same as you pick up your whole body with asiyas mitzvahs. But all he's saying over here, our job right now, that's the summary of Perek Lamazan that we learned till now. Our job right now in the 6,000 years till coming of Mashiach and Chiyas HaMeisim is to elevate the world, make it a kli, a vessel, by converting more from nefesh habahamis, that should be nichlal, oil of nichlal bekedusha, that we make, preparing the ground for that revelation of Yemos HaMashiach and Chiyas HaMeisim. And every time we do a mitzvah that has to do with the physical world, we're elevating the world. We're picking up more nitzutas from klipas noiga and converting it to kedusha, and that's how we make the world a kli for the revelation of Mashiach and Tchias HaMeisim. We'll see him as Hashem tomorrow night.